I'm going to talk you through doing an ARCP. So you'd use your normal login that you'd use for 14 Fish, but log in via fishbase.co.uk. You'll then get to this page and you need to go to the ARCP page, which is under database and then panel meetings. So you won't have as many things on the left there as I do. Then you'll see the dates where you're a panel member or panel chair up here. So if you click on those, only the ones that you're involved with you'll be able to see. And because this date is coming up soon, I'm going to be able to click on it. I'll see who else is in the panel with me, and I'll see the trainees that we're going to review down here. So we're going to start looking at this particular trainee. We'll click on their name in the blue, and their page will come up. Now this looks very different to 14 Fish if you're used to that, but it's been set up to show you the information that's pertinent to doing an ARCP. So you've got the demographic information at the top, their CCT date, etc. You've got the information about the panel, so who's on the panel today, the previous date of the last panel, and then if they've got a panel date set going forwards. Down below you'll have this is called the main training picture. Now obviously this looks a bit of a mess because this is a fake trainee, but for a normal trainee it should look much clearer. So at the top you've got the posts, and if you look in this box here, this updates depending on what you're clicked on. So it'll show you the dates of this post and who the supervisor is and the sort of the amount of time the trainee was in that post. Underneath is the review period. So ST1, 2 or 3, and then again you'll have the dates and the number of days, etc. Then you've got the ESRs, and as you click on this, again it will update whether it's satisfactory in the trainee comments, or if it's unsatisfactory or panel opinion requested, it'll be in this orange colour like down here. These are reviews that are set up but haven't had an ESR done. And what you're really looking for is that these lines, which are the range of the dates that are covering this review, they all line up for all these ESRs. Obviously it's difficult to show on this. You've got your CSRs, and again they should be spaced out, and it should clearly show that they've got enough for the number of posts that they've done. The multi-source feedbacks and the PSQs are there as well, and if you want to go into more detail you can see the number of responses down here, and you can go into the summary by clicking this button. CSA, passed, AKT, and again they would be a different colour if they were booked or if they had failed. And then down at this part, again it looks messy because it's a sort of test account, but this is where you have all your ARCPs, and again you want all of these to line up in one line so that you're making sure that you're covering all the dates throughout the whole of the training period and there's no periods missed. Again, these are color coded, so positive satisfactory outcomes are green and unsatisfactory outcomes are, or outcome 5s are in amber, and then ones which haven't been completed yet are in grey. So the red line is where the trainee is at the moment, so the time, and then these are the dates. So this is the bit which is dynamic depending on what you're clicking above. Underneath that there is a little box which says before CCT. So this tells you the things that the trainee needs to acquire before CCT, and this would normally be, unless they're at the end of training, it's looking for competency in all of the capabilities, it's looking for AKT, it's looking for CSA, and at the moment it's also looking for RCA. So those are the things it's looking for. So anything that hasn't been completed will appear in this box. The previous panel meetings are down here, and if you want to look into those, you would click on review and it would take you to that page. Equally, if you wanted to look at them, you can click on them here and then click more details. I'll show you what happens when you click on that in a moment. If we go down, you've got the posts just laid out for you, and again with any of these you can minimize them if you don't need that, because the posts are also above, as are the stages of training, and the ESRs are also above, and again you could click on them here or you can click on them up here. Exams, we've talked about AKT and CSA, and you can see that they've passed. If you want to look at more detail of the exams, you can go up here, and at the top we've got exams. If you click on that, you'll be able to see the exam results. You can click on and get the cases and feedback in more detail. I'll take you back to this page. So that's the exams. Underneath that, you've got multi-source feedback and again you can go in and view these in more detail, and the comments and the grades. Equally, you can do this up here by clicking MSF, View Summary, and again it will take you to the same page. So there's a couple of different ways to look at things. Mandatory training, so this is where the trainee can add certificates. It only shows the most up-to-date certificate if they've put it in there, and you'll be able to click on it if they've added one here. We don't worry too much about revalidation dates. Days out of training, this would all we would complete during when we're completing the ARCP. So to actually start doing this ARCP, you've got several members, so they can look through different areas. So that is the front sort of overall page, but up here you've got links to different particular areas of the portfolio. So next along you've got educator notes, and you can expand those in full should you wish. You then have requirements, so this is to do with assessments and learning logs, and so you've got ST1, 2, 3, and then the review that you're filtered on you can highlight, and it will tell you how many of each of these the trainee has done, and also in total for the learning logs, also for the assessments, and then the feedback. And if you click on any of these, it will take you to that group of assessments or that group of learning logs. Spread of entries, this is showing you their spread, so their clinical capabilities and their clinical experience groups, and you can filter for entry type, or you can filter for stages of training. If you click on these, it will just highlight those particular areas. Then we've got progress, which is all of their assessments. So again, you can filter depending on the stage of training and depending on the assessment, and it will give you their results over a period of time. Search their entries. This is where you'll find everything that's in the portfolio. So this will be a long list for a lot of trainees, and this is where you'll find everything. So you can search for Word, you can look in particular review periods, but what you'll probably want to do is look for certain things. So you might click on learning log, and then you might click on significant events, and it will just highlight those. You could search for leadership. You can clear the filters. You might want to look at assessments and just see the particular assessments. So this is how you would find any entry, and again you can use any word there and it will find it for you. And the last one is exams, which I've already shown you. So when you're ready to complete the certificate, the ARCP certificate, you would click Start to complete the review, and you may get an administrator to do this, or it may be a panel member. And this is just a polite notice to say that these have not been achieved. It's just a flag. You can override it should you wish, but it's there just to make sure that you don't give an outcome 6 if you're expecting a result for this. Please check and clarify the date which you want to review. So the first date, the last date, and then update the CCT date. Now if you change that, it will ask you to explain why you're changing it, just as an audit trail. Then you'd add their toot here, and then it's going to ask you if this is an academic trainee. So if you click no, nothing will happen. If you click yes, various other boxes will appear. This is the additional comments box, where you would add any additional comments you want to add. Revalidation concerns, yes or no, and then your recorded outcomes. So we've got all of the standard outcomes you would expect in general practice, and then we also have the N codes down here, and then the COVID codes here. And when you click on this, so for instance, if you just click on one, it will allow you to save or complete and submit if you're ready to sign it, to get it signed off by the chair. If, for instance, you click on A3, more boxes will appear. So reason for the outcome, so you can just tick those. Mitigating circumstances, if any, you could add in here. And then competencies which would need to be developed, you can just tick on these rather than having to type them all out. Any other, so you might say CSA, RCA, recommended actions, and then a recommended additional training time. And then you can save it, or if you're ready to submit, you complete and submit, and it will be ready for the chair to sign. So if we go back to the the page, you can now see that there is now an unsatisfactory outcome because we completed and submitted it an outcome 3, but it hasn't been signed off by the chair. So what we want now is the chair to go in. They would click on this trainee, scroll down, and then at that point they'll be able to sign the certificate. Once they've done that, a date will appear here to show that the chair has signed it off. Another thing which I forgot to mention is the date of the next review, which is really important. So you want to be adding the date of the next ARCP, because this is a trainee that's had an outcome 6, it's not there, but it will allow you to say when the next ARCP is, and what that will do is it will book them into that date on the ARCP. So if it's an outcome 5, you might set the ARCP date for 2 weeks' time. If it's an outcome 1, you might set it for a year's time. So it just means that the trainee is on the system the whole time, and we're not getting lost or anyone not having ARCPs booked in. Whenever a trainee has an ARCP booked in, they'll be able to see this clearly on the front page of their 14 fish portfolio, so they know when they're working towards as well. So I think it's really important to make sure that's kept up to date. If you want to look at a previous ARCP, as mentioned before, so you can click on it here or down below, click on more details, and you can either download the ARCP, so that will be the printed certificate, or if you scroll down, it will show you a snapshot of the information at that time, and then you'll actually get down to the certificate information, which is here. So days 2 to 1, no, any comments, and then the outcome. So you can just look at it on the page, or you can download the certificate. You'll want to look at ESRs as well. So to do that, you click on it, click on more details. This will take you to the review period page for this ESR. And what you should do at this point is click on view for the ESR. This will open the ESR for you, and you'll scroll through. This looks quite different to how it does on the old TEP. It starts off with the PDP objectives and the action plans, and then it goes into the capabilities, starting with fitness to practice. So the trainee rating is here, the narrative, and then any evidence they've linked is below. Then it goes into the ES rating, etc. And it will go through all the capabilities. Any of these that they've added, you can click on, and it will open up that learning log or that assessment. Keep scrolling down, we've got the quality of evidence, the declarations, some information about KEPs, any concerns, and then the recommendation is right here at the bottom, and then any trainee comments. So this view is quite different. You can navigate jumping to various sections by clicking on this menu on the left, and it will jump you to it here. So this does look quite different to the old system, but don't forget that if the educational supervisors gradings will be in this box here before CCT. So if there's nothing there to do with capabilities, then the ES has marked them as competent in every capability. If they haven't, then the grading from the educational supervisor will be highlighted in this box. So you can immediately see whether they're below expectations in any or several of the capabilities, which is quite a helpful snapshot. So that's an overall overview of the panel view. Hopefully you find this helpful, and if you've got any questions, then please click on help, which will be in the bottom right, and they'll be able to guide you for where you might need to look.